Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Tim Langford, and I welcome you to our 11 a.m. every Tuesday Eastern Time mortgage protection webinar. It's exciting to see several agents on here who I got the opportunity to share with the Mike J. Rowe and Associates agency down in Arkansas yesterday. So after a short night of sleep, back here in the office and absolutely enjoying the opportunity to be able to share with I consider you my family. I see so many of you connect every week, and that means everything to me because it tells me that there's something, a part of these webinars that is beneficial to you. I do this business myself. As I was sharing with the guys and gals yesterday in Little Rock, you will find me, as I did this past Saturday, I sat with 3 families, all with mortgage protection. And one family, I looked at them and I looked at their financial portfolio and said, guys, I really don't see a need here. I know they were asking for a sale, and basically, remember when somebody responds to one of our direct mails, I call that a 4-letter word. I call that a sale. That when somebody is filling out, here's my name, my address, here's my mortgage, here's the phone number to call me at. Oh my goodness, 1 out of 100 people do that. So that's every bit of what you and I should be thinking of as a sale. Yet I looked at these folks, and the other 2 families I sat, remember I still preach, and you'll see in this webinar, don't go out on less than 3 appointments. You're setting yourself up for failure. So the sharing that I'm going to do today comes from what I do. I'm in the field every week. I'm out in the trenches just like you. And what I've learned after 25 years of being in this type of business, 8.5 years in the mortgage protection business, I'm sharing with you today. Every little, I won't want to say, I don't believe in tricks and fogs and mirrors, but maybe every little nugget of truth, maybe something you'll hear today that can put you a little bit over the edge. Because my whole plan for you is never to harm you. My plan straight up is to be able to see you prosper. My plans include to be able to say, here's a future and a hope. And to be able to do that in very 6 specific steps. That's what I'm laying out in this webinar today. We use the GoToWebinar format very specifically so that, and important that you can undock your question box, go right in there and type some questions. Today's I'm going to kind of throw it at you, give you a drink from a fire hose, per se. So it's not going to be a lot of times, I won't allow any time to answer questions during the webinar, but every question that you have, I guarantee you today, you'll receive an answer from me. So go ahead and type them in the box there, and I will send off an answer to you. But I really want to be able to keep this message going of if you will follow these steps. I personally, and I make a very emphatic emphasis, how's that for redundancy? I make a strong emphasis on the folks that you hear on Friday mornings, because every Friday at 11 a.m., you can tune into the same GoToWebinar in the email that you got today or yesterday. Click on that. It gives you instructions how to click on. If you don't get the email, be able to go to www.gordonmarketing.com, and you can click on every Tuesday webinar, every Friday conference call. We still use this same format for a conference call, so everybody has a chance to be able to type a question, just like this Friday. Our speaker, guys, check this out. Our agent who's making it happen did over $300,000 of personal income last year, not because she's built a tremendous team. She's got a couple team members, but on personal production. And you say, Tim, that is just, I can't fathom that. I don't believe it. I don't blame you. When I started hearing some of those numbers, when I first started in this business 8.5 years ago, it's never been on a full-time basis, guys. I've never put together 1 year where I've been in the field full time. And yet, my first 6 months, 8.5 years ago, I started in June. 8.5 years ago, I did $90,000 in 6 months. Every year since then, and remember how I said never full-time? On a part-time basis of 1 to 2 days in the field, I've never submitted less than 6 figures in this business. Last year, guys, I averaged about 55 hours for my job here as the Mortgage Protection Executive Director for Gordon Marketing. Last year, guys and gals, 140,000 submitted dollars. It happens. And you follow this same type of system. Do I guarantee it? Absolutely not. But I will promise you this. If you will commit to these steps, I will make time for you. When you're texting me is usually the best way for you to reach me. I'm struggling with my emails. A lot of times I'm having my assistant, which does a phenomenal job. Thank you, Alicia, for being in mine and my wife's life. Let me share it that way because it's dedicated, incredibly, extremely happy with my wife. And oh my goodness, I need Alicia in my life also. And Alicia is phenomenal to be able to help when you're needing contracts or applications, pricing software. That's all Alicia. When you're having a sales issue, that's Tim. And you'll have my cell number at the end of this webinar. Mortgage Protection Program. What are the intrinsic steps? 6 specific steps. And I'm going to weave in there in the presentation that we're going to go over next week, the 6 specific steps for a presentation. But let's talk big picture. If you are looking at just the entire program itself, yeah, I'm a dork. I'm sometimes crass. I talk about, I don't want my clients to bleed for me. I don't want them to pee in a bucket. I don't want them to have blood drawn out because it's simplified issue business. To me, the American wet dream, if you bring this type of work ethic, what you're seeing on your screen right now, if you bring your heart, your blood into this and willing to roll up your sleeves, even if you've been in the business for 40 years, but if you come to me and you say, hey, here's my open slate, how do I get those type of results? Like a Danielle Byrne, like a Stacy Bedgood, who after being in the business for 2 months, she started in November of 2015, 2016, guys, over $200,000 because of following these same type of steps. Here they are. Know your pace, know your product, your providers, your prospect, your price, your presentation. That's it. It's everything. I'm going to spend a few minutes on each one of these steps. You dedicate yourself to these, and I will ensure, not guarantee, because let me see the work ethic, but I will ensure if you will put your work ethic into these steps, you too will have a 6-figure income this year. Follow these steps. Follow when we go over and talk about your pace. We went over the what I call the basic algebraic equation. You do A plus B equals C. Let me show you how that works. This is your pace right here, guys. If you will have a simple focus of saying, I've got to treat this as if this is an emergency, and have a sense of urgency. You dedicate yourselves to act fast and fail fast. Yeah, I mean that. Fail fast. Don't worry about getting everything exact. Don't worry about getting every bit of knowledge underneath the carriers. I'm going to talk to you about 4 specific carriers that you need to have in the Mortgage Protection Program to ensure your success. You will get this webinar, this PowerPoint. I'll send it out to everyone who's on this webinar today. You put in your numbers, but these are the numbers that I preach, and we, a couple weeks ago, gave you this exact same steps. I'll use this as even as steps to build your week. If you will do a minimum of 10 appointments a week. I know, gosh, I've got Josh Sivek that sometimes will run 8 to 10 appointments a day. But Josh only works 2 days a week. Sometimes he'll work 3 days a week. Josh will be on our call in, 4 weeks? This week, we've got Danielle Byrne. Next week, Christy Sparks. The following week, Richard Reyes. Folks, Friday, don't miss Friday. 10 appointments. I'm even going to say that 2 people gave you a no-show. That's a pretty high no-show rate if you are following the steps of how we do phone work. You have 8 sits, and I'm saying of those 8, you just helped 4 families. So you're a 50% producer. Half of the time you're failing, but of the other half, that's where you make 6 figures. Seriously. Because you can write 6 applications on those 4 families. You average 50. Now, this is your pace. This is what you're doing every week. You average $50 per application. This past Saturday, I sat with 3 families. You heard about the one family that I did not help. Of the other 2 families I sat with, I wrote 2 Phoenix applications, mortgage protection, 1 Mutual Omaha mortgage protection with a return of premium, and I wrote 1 child application for like $18. In 3 appointments, made over $2,000, folks. In 3 appointments, and I wrote 4 applications. 3 appointments, 4 applications, helped 2 families. You learn how to do that in this business. $3,600 by averaging $50 per application, and I'm putting you at 100%. And check this out. I think I pulled this up. If not, I don't have it, but everyone will see our levels chart. Typically, you start in this business at a 55, 60, 65% contract rate. If you've done any sort of business in this market, we'll start you at 75%. If you have some proficiency, we'll start you at 100% contract. If there's no sort of experience there, within a short few months, there's no reason why every person should not be at a 100% contract. You'll get the levels chart. I'll send that out to you, and you can map out, okay, if I do 5,000, you help 5 families, or maybe 10 families. If you're only doing a $50 application, you help 10 families this month. And that's even incorrect. Help me with my math, because at 5,000 issue paid dollars, you submit that 2 months in a row, and we give you a 5%. We go from 75% to 80%. You do 7,500 issue paid dollars. You'll get that chart. You'll see what I'm talking about, but I'll keep on going here with the pace. At 100% contract, $3,600 of annual premium, I'm going to even take off persistency and a placement percentage. I'm going to take off saying that you spent $540 in leads. So again, no smoke and fog, no fog and mirrors, real numbers. $117,000 with these specific steps. Know your product. So step number 2 with this, know your product. I want you to be able to sell a little bit of Axi, a little bit of term, and a little bit of perm. A little bit of Axi, a little bit of term, a little bit of perm. What do I mean by that? Check out my in-home, and every person will get this in-home. When you're going through this in-home, you should be able to, and we'll do a from A to Z in 2 weeks, and I'll do that in 2 parts, my complete in-home. So you'll see live here in my office. I'll bring in 2 persons, and I will treat them as if they're, just as if you are taking a look inside one of my appointments in my in-home appointment. I use the same sheet. I go right through these steps, and by the time I get down to number 9 right here in asking them what about their dollars that they have left at a previous job to help pay for a mortgage, I'll show you those specific words that I use, so I get people to say, well, no, I have a $380,000 account over here, just like the gal that I sat with a couple weeks ago. Guys, I wrote up a $250,000 annuity. So we're not even talking about the $117,000 income. I'm not even talking about annuities there. But if you follow these steps, you'll find there's safe money. And you'll get this today. I promise you I'll send this out. But check how we price in the mortgage protection program. Check that out. Very, very simple sheet. You put a name on each side here, and you give them one price for accidental coverage. So a little bit of Axi, a little bit of term, full value. So what I'm talking about for term. And then I want somebody to also be considering a little bit of perm, a little bit of Axi, a little bit of term, a little bit of perm. Give them a price for, hey, John, while you're healthy, I know you're just 45 years old, but here, this $40 a month will give you $20,000, but more importantly, it'll give your loved ones. So you never have to worry about, even when your temporary coverage falls off, when the mortgage is paid for and you don't have term anymore, guess what? You never have to worry about your sickness and you don't qualify for a burial coverage. I'm going to show you how to do that right now, and it'll be there for the rest of your life. And then, of course, with children. If I didn't ask for the children, I would have missed out on another $200 this last weekend. I wrote up an application for $18 for a child. Folks, it works. Oh, this is so fun. I hope you see this as fun. Those are the carriers that I want you to be contracted with underneath the Mortgage Protection Program. So know your product. These are the critical for you to know a little bit about each product, and there's a couple there. Not going to go into explaining other than I'll still say lead with Phoenix. Phoenix still has the best pricing out there and the friendliest underwriting of any of our carriers. I still love Foresters. I still love Mutual of Omaha. I still love American Amicable. Our best carrier in the Mortgage Protection Program is Phoenix. Should I say the easiest to use because of underwriting and pricing. They're all, goodness guys, if you're spending more than 10 to 12 minutes on filling out the application, you're doing it wrong. You should not be spending, that is, and guys, it's not, guess what? It's not a life insurance application. That's another whole topic, but what I do, I look at my friends that I'm trying to help get protection, not my clients that I'm trying to write life insurance on, key difference, but my new friends, my new persons I'm trying to help get protection, I'm filling out a health questionnaire. So that's exactly how I pose it to them. Hey guys, here's a health questionnaire that I need to send to home office in order to see if we get you approved for this protection. Be user friendly, and you will be tremendous in this business. So there's a little bit about Mutual of Omaha, a little bit about Phoenix, a little bit about Gerber. Know your providers. Not only providers for your home office that you will be sending to every one of your applications. They come to Alicia or to Kristen. We can talk about that at a separate date, but we get you started, and then we just turn you loose with the carriers. You and I can talk about carriers and life insurance. We never use those words in the family, with the families who we're trying to protect. Between you and I, sure, it's simplified issued life insurance. That's mortgage protection. When a family sends in a response to say, help me with my mortgage protection, they're not looking for life insurance. As contrary and goofy as that sounds, they're not looking for life insurance. 95% of the people out there, if you ask them, hey, do you need more life insurance? You know what they're going to say. But when you have a need exposed that, wait a minute, what about this mortgage I need to pay off? What about this mortgage that I don't want my wife to lose the home because I've got $50,000 and I make $75,000 a year? Time out. How do these numbers work if my wife now pays for my funeral and has 1 year's worth of salary? What about this mortgage? So things like that. Know your providers. Come to us for every lead that you need, from aged to new, to every carrier. We've got over 90 carriers underneath roof here. You don't need to look for any more. We want to be your final place as an independent. We don't capture your license. We have no interest in capturing your license. We're here to be simply a provider. Know your providers. Now go into step number 4, know your prospect. Probably one of the most important, crucial steps for you to ensure your success. Know your prospect. When I'm sitting down and visiting with a potential new client, you and I can speak like that, they are not my clients. They never hear that word out of my mouth. They are families whom I've been able to have the honor to help get protection. They're not a client. Get out of the insurance world. It doesn't work in this world of mortgage protection. I share that from my heart, not from anything other than to say, I want you to have better than my results. 140,000 last year part-time. There's no reason at all for every person on this webinar. We're well over 40 states right now. There's no reason why you cannot be over $200,000 in this business. Now your first year you may goof up, and only do 100,000 this year. Maybe the most you've ever done in this business is $40,000. Then what you should be doing this year for 11 and a half months that you have left in this year is at least looking at getting a 25% increase, getting a 50% increase. I say if you're at $40,000, there's no reason why you cannot do the same thing that Stacy Bedgood in Cincinnati, Ohio did last year. First year in the business. Remember, hired in November, her first year over 200,000. You should not have anything less than 100,000 on your mind. That's pregnant pause. There's no reason why you cannot achieve more in 2017 than you ever have before. With what you have with Gordon Marketing, I will be sending out this PowerPoint as well as the in-home you just saw. I'll send out, check this out, guys. When you're talking about knowing your prospects, what I'm going through right here is my in-home script. This is it right here, guys. Without trying to go, and you see what's on the screen. I don't need to read it for you, but most crucial, I've got the lead, what we call a lead, I call a response form, or you remember what I call that is that a good four-letter word, S-A-L-E. When somebody has spent time to send in a response form, a lead, they're not playing around. Remember, only 1 out of 100 actually even takes time to fill that out. When I've received one of those, it's on. It's on. I am getting a hold of that person. I am, whether it's going to be through knocking on a door, whether it's going to be because it took me, Vern, thanks for sharing yesterday. Vern out in Las Vegas. He said he was getting a little bit frustrated. Vern is a spectacular earner. We've had him on this call before and on this webinar before, and we'll have him on again. But Vern is a major income earner, and it was almost 2 weeks that he'd been calling on and off this person who sent in a lead, and they picked up yesterday. And as I was getting off the plane in Chicago, coming in from Little Rock, he said, well, she said she'd been in Mexico for the last 10 days. Don't give up on these. Don't give up on these. Call them in the morning, call them in the afternoon, call them in the evening. But when you have this response form, you're keeping it in front of you. You make sure that you find out who filled out that card. And you make sure to tie in. If it's husband and wife, wife and wife, I don't care. I'm there to protect the family, not judge them. You know, I may come back and invite them to my church, but I'm there to give protection for them. Get everything else out of your mind. This is business. Keep business business. You're not there to challenge them on their political or religious beliefs. Go and be a loving person, and you help that person get some protection for their family, for their loved ones. You make sure to connect them together. Why are you guys here? Why are you guys together? Just like when I sat down with a couple on Saturday and found out that they'd been married for over 20 years. To try to rekindle that. Anyhow, that goes into knowing your prospect. Crucial that you know your price. Right here on my phone, I go right into my phone, and I've got Gerber, I've got Mutual of Omaha, I've got Foresters, I've got Phoenix, everything with a touch of my finger. When I touch Mutual of Omaha, it'll come up in about 5 seconds, and now I can touch Term Life Express, or I can go over here and touch Living Promise if I'm going to go final expense. I can go Guaranteed Advantage, which is my what? Accidental. I can come over here where it says Children's Whole Life. It's all right here, guys. If you don't have these calculators on your phone, you're not doing good business. This is a one and done. And I say that in a very loving, caring way. If you aren't on the first time talking to that person and making that, and we've got to go back to some live phone calls. So I will start making some live phone calls again right here on Tuesday so that you can hear me setting appointments and people's responses. If they answer the phone, if you don't set the appointment the first time you talk to them on the phone, you're pretty much done. I'll tell you that straight up. You've got to be able to see this as a one and done. Be in that home so that when you know your price, you're able to fill out what? Not an application. You're going to fill out A health questionnaire. A health questionnaire. They know I'm sending it in to see if I can get them mortgage protection. So do not be dishonest in this business. Goodness, guys, if anything, you're gonna be cursed for life if you're not honest, if you're not an ethical person. I don't want to work with you. Straight up, I'm not interested in working with you. But if you bring me a plate that says, hey, I'm a caring person, I will do business honestly, I'm a person of character, let's talk. I'm interested in helping you make your financial dreams, and even bigger than that. If you remember one of my webinars here a couple weeks ago, I talked about go after a BHAG, B-H-A-G. And I'm not talking about chasing men or chasing women who are of ill repute, but I want you to be able to have you need to have a BHAG. Remember, big, hairy, audacious goal. I'm a dork, I know. B-H-A-G. Big, hairy, audacious goal. Something that makes you stretch. Have some fun with this. Enjoy this. I absolutely loved sitting down with those agents yesterday and being able to just pour into them and work myself up into a little bit of frenzy of saying, guys, this is just within reach. And I do like to say it's kind of like printing money. And you kind of look around making sure, is this legal, ethical, and moral? And I'll say, yes, yes, yes. I'll say when you're out helping that family, just like I helped those two of those three families on Saturday, I made over $2,000 on just going out for a half a day on Saturday. Over $2,000. You talk about in working, what, 4 hours and getting paid $500 an hour? It's legal. That's what's great about this. It's legal. So know your price. Be able to download all the calculators. Follow the in-home fact finder. Let me bring that up for you one more time. Take a look at this, guys. This is what I still use in the home. I go right there and I am filling out from the beginning the mortgage amount, payment amount, and I print these off. This is a user-friendly file that if you wanted to use it on your iPad, on your laptop, in-home, you can do that. However, I like paperwork because I like turning the paperwork around to the family and say, you circle which one is best. Or you want to turn your iPad around and have a touch screen of saying, you touch which one best fits your budget. That's my close for this business. You circle which one best fits your budget. They don't circle something, you know you've got an objection that you need to overcome. Know your price. And I'm going to skip the knowing the 3 solutions for final expense or 3 solutions for mortgage protection. If you followed my in-home, I offer one price at 75% of the mortgage for mortgage protection, one price for 75% of the accidental policy, one price, so that they're just like when I set my appointment. I set my appointment saying I've got 15 minutes to share this with you tomorrow. What does it look like at 3 o'clock? I don't say morning, afternoon, or evening. You sound like a telemarketer. So I offer them one solution, one appointment time. They say that doesn't work. Now I go into, well, what time do you and your husband get home? Well, we get home around 5 o'clock. Well, then, let's see, I can't do 5 o'clock. Tell you what, go ahead and put me down, assumptive. Go ahead and put me down to be there between 6 and 6:30. Well, we've got plans. I do too, but this is important since you sent it in. It's important to me. Anyhow, that's going to be our phone script that I'll go over with you at a different time. Here's your presentation. Everyone will get my in-home. Here's my in-home. I'm not only going to offer you my in-home of you'll see going right here, talking about step 1 through 6, your bond and rapport, finding the pain, the upfront contract. But I'll even go as far as to giving you paragraphs of what I say with every step. So know your presentation. You've got 6 steps to a sale. The bond and rapport, you've got to find the pain, you've got to have an upfront contract. At that 15-minute mark, like I promised them on the phone, that 15 minutes comes my first close. You'll see that in my steps to the sale. You'll see that when I do a live in-home presentation in 2 weeks. Upfront contract, you've got to have that closing. You've got to be upfront and present now after that first close. Now I present a solution. I give them three quotes, a little bit of axi, a little bit of term, a little bit of perm. 3 solutions for their mortgage protection. And then you've got to be able to move right into all I need now after you have had them circle it, you've had them say, that's what I want. Now you've got to confirm the sale. Every time I push I've got their voided check, I've got their health questionnaire, and I've got their lead. I turn it around and I push it over to my clients. You and me, we talk about clients. I push it over to the family I'm trying to protect. And I will come up with something. Right now, I'll say, I know you probably got a little bit of the Christmas present blues. So we've got, and I look at each buying unit, each person in the home as $100, each adult. Each adult as $100 buying unit. So if I'm dealing with a husband and wife, $200, I'm looking for a premium. Josh Savak does a wonderful job with that, of having, and even Danielle Byrne, my goodness, she'll share how she gets some incredibly high premiums dollars out of one person. She'll share that on Friday. But confirm the sale. I push the paperwork and say, I need you to push that back to me if that is really the right thing for your family to do. Is it, John? I need to confirm the sale. I want to go from there, follow up, follow through. Without going into it, that's I said, I'm going to share more specifically next week about the 6 steps to the sale, and then go from there the following week into my live in-home. You got to have a plan. You've got to be able to have a sense of urgency. You've got to be able to, gosh, I don't know any other word other than this is not a black and white, a theory of economics type of sale. You've got to have the empathy and know that this is an emotional sale. To know that the reasons why somebody lost their home last year was because of somebody got hurt and they didn't have disability coverage that you and I now offer through our living benefits with mortgage protection, with Foresters, with Mutual of Omaha, with Phoenix living benefits, that they can get a check for their first year, that they have $100,000. Check this out. They have $100,000 face value, that somebody made one payment of $20, and then they're in a terrible accident and they can't do 2 of 6 living activities of daily living. They are qualified, can qualify for a check for $95,000. Isn't that just, it's mind-boggling. Depending on the severity of their hurt, of their injuries, and their life expectancy, they qualify for up to 95% of the face value. Why do people lose their homes? Of course, if mom or dad dies, this is the difference that you and I are doing in people's lives. And a loss of job does not mean because of unemployment or they got fired, but loss of job, how we make effect there is, again, going back to that disability. But go back to the number 2 reasons why people lose their homes: disability and death. We can make an immediate impact there. Loss of job, they've got to go get another job. Imagine that. But we affect that first 2 right there. Your plan, guys. It seems like we've got a culture sometimes that has I'm kind of do this attitude. No, guys, we aren't do anything. The people who care the most about your family, the person who cares the most about your family doesn't reside in the White House, either from last administration and even not in this administration. The person who cares the most about your family, about you being an agent who's making it happen, falls on your shoulders. You can be an agent that's my call, remember, every Friday, an agent who's making it happen. You make it happen by 3 ways, and you've got to have that commitment of what won't I compromise on. 90 days. Try this for 90 days. Just think of it from January 27th or excuse me, that's my Friday call. Today is January 24th. Let's look at what am I going to do for the next 90 days. Take me out to April 24th. What do these 90 days look like? Just become a madman or a madwoman and say, I'm going to read. I was talking to my friend Richard this morning that he read a book over from yesterday to today, over 200 pages. He says, I'm not a reader. Look what's happened to me. Congratulations, Richard. You be a woman who's making a difference in your life is because of the people who you're around, the books you read, and the things that you listen to. That's the only way that you become a better person. The people you choose to associate with, the books that you read, and the things that you listen to. What are you watching on the computer? What are you watching on your TV, on your cable stations? What are you putting in your mind? Garbage in, garbage out. There's my contact information. I hope this has been beneficial. Thank you for the several comments I see here. And yes, I promise I'll get back to every one of you today. I will answer each one of these questions, and thank you again for the comments. Folks, be an agent who's making it happen, and I want to feature you on my call on Friday. This Friday at 11 a.m., just like every Tuesday at 11 a.m., go to webinar format. Next Friday, I will break down the 6 steps inside every sale how do I gain immediate rapport? I'm talking about immediate rapport. By you stepping in over that threshold, and what you do next will depend on whether you have got immediate rapport with your family or not. As soon as you do that, and I will share that next week, you'll pretty much see that in the in-home script that I'm going to send out to you today, but you'll gain immediate rapport. Then you move that into just step number 3. How do you confirm this, or how do you do the upfront close in step number 3? I will go into detail next Tuesday at 11 a.m. of exactly how that I do it. Not that I am God's gift to you in mortgage protection, but I've had some success. That it's been exciting to see folks around me who've said, I'm going to do this full time. My calling, I've chosen that this is what God's called me to do, is to equip other agents using Gordon Marketing to be able to reach out and say, I want you to be an agent who's making it happen because you've chosen 3 directives. By blowing up your income, that's step number 1 of being an agent who's making it happen. Because step number 1 takes care of number 2, and if you do step number 3, it takes care of both step 1 and 2. Because if you take care of step number 1, be an agent who's making it happen by blowing up your income, your family will live in a house that you feel safe in. Your family will be driving a car that you feel safe. You feel that they're in the safest vehicle you can be in. You choose what school you want your children to be in, or your grandchildren, because now you have money to pay for your grandchildren to go to a school. My daughter goes to Heritage Christian School. I choose to go there for her, for our family. Where do your children or grandchildren go? Could they be in a better school if you took care of number 1? Because number three takes care of both number 1 and 2. If you'll be an agent who's making it happen by going out and answering these responders. What do I mean? Remember that lead? If we focus on being an agent who's making it happen and answering their questions and confirming the sale, you will take care of number 1 and number 2 and be an agent who's making it happen. Thanks for taking your time to connect with me today. I look forward to seeing everyone on our call on Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern. I wish you Godspeed and His blessing.